Okay, so tonight, if you're taking notes, the message is practical ways to defeat porn as we're into week 3 of The Naked Truth. And I know I mentioned this upstairs just a little bit, but everything has an effect on us, whether it's food, whether it's entertainment, video games, exercise, makeup, clothing, the media we engage with. All these things shape how we feel, how we influence, and it influences our emotions, impacts our behavior. And many of these things, they may just be neutral. Some of them might be good, some of them might be bad. But in all of that, what I want to talk about here are if we are relying on certain things to maintain a specific emotional state, that is unhealthy. So let me say that again. If you are relying on certain things to maintain a specific emotional state, that is unhealthy. So here's some examples. How many of you guys like coffee? How many of you guys drink coffee almost every day? Okay, energy drinks. Who likes energy drinks? Okay, there we go. All right. If skipping your energy drink makes you feel grumpy or off balance, you might be relying too much on your energy drink. Just saying. Okay, what are some of your guys' favorite foods? Favorite foods? Burgers.
Quesadillas.
Ooh, quesadillas. Bailey, what did you say?
What? I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay.
I said something. What?
She did. What do you got?
Spanakopita. Jamal. It's green.
Ooh, it sounds really good. So if not having your favorite food or candy, what are some of your guys' favorite candies? Peach rings, Reese's, what else?
Kit Kat.
Kit Kat. Okay, so food and candies. Okay, if not having our favorite food or candy causes us to be stressed or leaves us feeling more overwhelmed, we are most likely using food to fill a gap that's not meant to be filled that way. Okay? If you are not feeling satisfied or okay with your life and your relationships after you're watching movies or you see social media, these portrayals of life, whether it be on movies, social media, video games, whatever it may be, can be unrealistic and it can distort our expectations. Okay. This principle applies to pornography. So it may seem like another form of entertainment, but it impacts the way we see ourselves, others, and in relationships in the way that we don't realize. So what is pornography? Don't worry, I'm not going to get really into the nitty-gritty, but this is what it comes down to. Pornography is any content that is created to make you feel sexual feelings. This can be explicit videos, images, but it's not limited to that. Anything that is specifically labeled as porn or can be pornographic in nature. So here are just some examples of what that could be. Movies, TV shows, video games, sexual suggestive scenes, okay? Books, magazines, the way that it makes us visualize or fantasize sexual things. Social media, the different ways that there's just suggestive content. And what is that stuff? Well, how many of you heard of thirst traps? Okay? Those are all designed to be successful in creating lustful thoughts and wanting to bring you down the road of following that person, lusting after that person as an object, not as a person. We'll get into that in a little bit. Because our culture normalizes these things, it's easy to get caught up in consuming them without realizing the effect that it has on us. if content starts making us feel something romantically or sexually, it is a red flag. It should not be ignored. So right now we're just going to take a pause, okay? And this is the pause. That as you're going through your day-to-day life, as you're going through social media, whatever you're encountering, that if all of a sudden you start feeling these sexual feelings or these romantic feelings, you go, what is going on right now? Just make note of that. And that is a red flag. Don't ignore that, because it's content like this that is not going to be helpful. Okay, so we're going to go into why we should stay away from porn. Are you guys following so far? Yes? Okay. Porn distorts our view of sex, relationships, and ourselves. And these are some reasons why it should be avoided. Reason number 1, unrealistic expectations. Porn presents a false image of sex, relationships, unrealistic expectations of what intimacy looks like. I've heard it said like this. How many of you guys have seen Lord of the Rings? Okay?
I think.
All right, so Lord of the Rings, how about just any fantasy movie in general? Okay, most of us have seen fantasy movies. Do elves exist? No. Do dragons exist? Okay.
Probably.
Do
The Bible mentions
orcs
Maybe.
exist?
No.
No. Okay, so what I'm getting at is this. Many times, actually I'll say the bulk of all of porn, it is creating a false image of sex and relationships. And so if we are then engaging in that content, it's going to distort how it should be and how we realistically see how God created relationships and created relationships and how they should be. So in that same way, if we are consuming that kind of content, it is like we are going to decide to make a reality such as a fantasy reality as true. And the more that you are consuming it and expecting it to be true, the more that it's going to become true later on. And it's, again, going to distort the reality of what relationships are supposed to be, how God designed those relationships to be, and what intimacy looks like. We know that unicorns and dragons and orcs and all of those things, they don't exist, and it would be really foolish for us to be looking at that content and looking after it as if it was real. And unfortunately, many times with pornography, we can be looking at this view of intimacy and this view of what it looks like, and it is far from reality. Unrealistic expectations. It distorts our understanding of people's bodies, making us compare ourselves to others that are edited, exaggerated, surgically altered, or AI images. And I'm just going to say right now that AI right now is powerful.
Mm-hmm.
It is so incredibly powerful, and if I just want to make you guys aware of right now that you can. There are, of course, different places where I created, when this was 3 years ago. I wanted a hot air balloon, and I wanted it in a Van Gogh style. So I literally typed it into, because my favorite painting of all time is Starry Night. That's my favorite painting. So I said hot air balloon, Van Gogh style, Starry Night. And all of a sudden, here it was, put it all together. And honestly, I might someday make this picture into a print painting because it is absolutely gorgeous. It is I wish I could show it now that I think about it, but it's this beautiful hot air balloon in Starry Night style, and it was created by AI. So what is my point with that? My point is this. AI is becoming so powerful that it's going to become an issue of if what we see is actually real or not. Again, going back to fantasy. So the thing is we need to know what's true and what's right, and we don't want to have these false expectations of what people are supposed to be, what intimacy is supposed to be like, and if this is going to be what's going to happen in marriage, because all of the pornographic content is going to distort that, unrealistic expectations. Number 2, it changes how we see people. Instead of seeing people as God's creation, as in God's image, porn trains our brains to see people as objects for our own pleasure, and not looking at people for the value that they have, for the just beauty of everything that God has for them. Because all of us in this room, God has a plan for you. God loves you, and with that plan, there is just so much value and so much worth that we have in what God has given to us. And so I just want to just keep on telling you guys that you guys are loved. You guys are God's masterpieces. And when we're talking about pornography, because of how our brains work, if we're looking at people as I'm going to look at them, I'm going to look at their part of their body because I want this pleasure, I want to it's all selfish. And it's degrading people from people into objects. And that's not how God created us. Number 3, it affects your own self-worth. Porn can make us feel inadequate. And unfortunately, with how society is, there's the statistic is that 10-year-olds are exposed to porn. And so I'm not going to have you guys raise your hand. It's okay. Keep your hands down. And I was about 11 when I was first exposed to porn. And so with all of that, seeing these images, seeing these things, it can make us feel like we don't measure up, that we have these standards. But again, it goes back to that is not who you are. That is not your worth. Our worth is in Jesus. The relationships that God has for us, we see how it's supposed to be in the Bible. And we're going to be getting into that later on. So I'm just going to keep you with that, just so you can think about that. But it affects our own self-worth. It creates feelings of guilt, shame, and anxiety about relationships, because this is not relationship. This is not how it's supposed to be. Porn is not life as it's supposed to be. It is not how God created it to be. It can lead to addiction. Okay? I know people that have been addicted to porn for years. Again, I don't expect you guys to raise your hands. You may know somebody who's addicted to porn. It screws up lots of things. Because like I said, it changes how you see people. It changes how you see yourself. It gives you unreasonable and unrealistic expectations. And because of the process, it creates a dopamine high. And over time, you require more and more and more and more to extreme content to get that pleasure that you're looking for. Which again, if we're looking for pleasure, like I said in the very beginning, this whole thing is finding it in the right place, finding it in Jesus, finding it in our worth that we have because of Jesus Christ. Not in finding this, finding it in porn and getting into that type of content. The last point here is it harms future relationships. I've heard from several different men that I've talked to that because of the time that they spent exposed to porn and that they were looking for it, that it changed how they saw their marriage. It changed how they saw their wife. It changed how they wanted everything. It just changed everything. Porn will harm relationships. It will. It absolutely will. It creates an emotional disconnect and a dissatisfaction for real life intimacy, the intimacy that God created. We are going to be talking about, as the series continues, healthy sexuality. So we're going to be covering this more in the healthy light of what God created for us. Okay, you guys are here right now because I wanted to cover something that the upstairs people aren't getting as much of right now, okay? So what I want to give you guys are some tools. How to stay strong under peer pressure. So we're going to get through this, I guess, fairly quickly, and then we're going to break into groups. Sound good? You guys still doing good?
All right.
Okay. Okay, so here we go. Number one, if you're taking notes, recognize that you're not alone. None of you guys are alone. You know, we're here in this community, this youth group. And people are struggling with this. You might be struggling with this. But you are not alone. So if you are the one that's struggling with this, make a decision to say no and stick with it. I've helped several students here in youth group with this, and it's been an amazing transformation in these guys' lives. I'm happy to help you through that. I'm not going to be the one to coach you ladies, but I'm happy to coach you guys. And the first thing that I tell these guys is, if you're in the midst of this, take a note, write it down as today is the day that you stopped. And we will, don't worry, we'll get to this a little bit later. But you write it down, you stopped, and if you relapse, you look at that content again, start going down that road, then you say, okay, I've stopped, I'm done. And the more that you've decided to make that decision, it comes to a point where it's, 1 day, 5 days, a week, months of being able to make that decision of no, I'm not going to be pressured into that. It's you guys making that decision today of recognizing that you're not alone and making the decision to say no now. That's going to help you in the moment when you are pressured later. So if you are involved with porn now, I encourage you to talk to me, talk to one of our adult leaders. We want to help you out of it. We want to help with that. For peer pressure, for those of you that are might be getting pressured by those friends at school or other people, just decide no, because a no now is going to help you when you are pressured. 2, surround yourself with the right people. Proverbs 13:20 says, walk with the wise and become wise, for a companion of fools suffer harm. So what does that mean? Choose friends who encourage you to make good choices. Because when you walk with the wise, you become wise. A companion of fools suffers harm. And I can tell you what, if you are able to be around a really good group of friends that make good choices, you most likely are going to be making good choices with them. Surround yourself with the right people. 3, have a plan for difficult situations. If someone sends you inappropriate content, be ready to shut it down. If friends make jokes about you not watching or looking at sexual content, know how to respond without compromising your values. So this is literally all you need to say. I have decided not to look at that. It's a very clear statement. I will say, any of you that are in that situation and you say that, The person is probably going to make fun of you, probably going to bully you a bit more, but you make that clear. You say, no, I've decided not to look at that, and you remove yourself from that conversation and situation. Just get out of there as quick as you possibly can. If you need help, ask a trusted adult to help you get out of that situation. Talk to adults about that, because they are going to be able to help you out so that people are not getting stuck in this content. 4, focus on what you're gaining and not what you're avoiding. Choosing to stay away from porn is not just about avoiding something bad. I'm going to say that again. Choosing to stay away from porn isn't about avoiding something bad. It's about pursuing something better. A healthy mind, strong relationships, God-honoring life are worth far more than the pleasure that will cause a distorted view of sex, a distorted view of relationships, and a distorted view of ourselves.